Good evening and a very warm welcome to Sunset News. As always, we bring you news, community stories, economics, weather and sports. I'm your host for tonight, Joza Markovits. In the news tonight, Cabinet rejects secret NANDA board. A secretly constituted Namibia Industrial Development Agency, NADA, board has recalled after Industrials Minister Modius Amute discovered that appointment letters had allegedly been issued without his approval, and that mandatory steps in the selection process had been skipped. The 7-member board was allegedly preparing to assume office when Amute intervened and ordered the selection process to be restarted. A list seen by Network Namibia Media Hub NMH shows that economics and policy strategist Paul Natagora Kalinga had been selected as chairperson, while Amita's acting financial officer Menisia Velho was named as deputy chairperson. The other proposed members were former Standard Bank executive Tedes Masua, Swakopmund Municipality General Manager Masapi Hangura, former NAC board chairperson Duhala Lewis, NAMDEP Chief Executive Derek Arienberger, and former Namibia Institute of Pathology Chief Executive Kapena Chibonde. The appointments were never publicly announced and the names failed to clear cabinet. Amuse confirmed that flaws had been discovered in the process, followed by the panel responsible for recommending the proposed board members. In other news, NCAA pushes aviators safety. Namibia Civil Aviators Authority NCAA Executive Director Toxa Sim has emphasized the importance of strengthening safety oversight and building a protective safety culture as Namibia develops its National Aviation Safety Plan. Speaking at a 5-day International Civil Aviation Organization workshop on National Safety Plan Development, STEM said the plan would contribute to safer, more efficient and resilient systems.
The National Aviation Safety Plan is far more than a regulatory requirement. It's a strategic national framework that enables states to identify and manage safety risks through a coordinated, data-driven and performance-based approach, as highlighted by the Regional Officer of ESAP. By strengthening our regulatory oversight and promoting a proactive safety culture, the National Aviation Safety Plan contributes directly to safer, more efficient, and more resilient aviation systems. The benefits of an effective National Aviation Safety Plan extends beyond aviation safety. A safe and resilient aviation system builds confidence among airlines, passengers, investors, international partners, driving the growth of air transport, tourism, trade, investment, and regional connectivity. These benefits are even more critical with the expansion of the single African air transport market, SATA, of which we acknowledge that more than 35 African member states on the African continent have actually signed the Solomon Commitment. This is a flagship project of the African Union Agenda 2063 initiative aimed at enhancing air connectivity across the continent.
In other news, Oshivaronga's 945 million hospital project gets a 2027 start target. The construction of Oshivaronga's long-planned 250-bed referral hospital is now anticipated to start early in 2027, with the project entering its 13th year since it was first announced. The Ministry of Health and Social Service said internal site infrastructure is expected to begin early next year, subject to funding being made available through Treasury. The ministry said construction of the internal site infrastructure would then lay the foundation for the main hospital building. Once the project starts, construction is anticipated to take 36 months. The proposed hospital was announced in 2014, while the planning activities commenced in 2015. These included an environmental impact assessment, transport impact assessment, geotechnical survey, and hospital designs. The project was initially affected by the economic downturn in 2016, which the ministry said contributed to a decline in the construction industry. So as the COVID-19 pandemic also added to the delays. The ministry said the project remains part of its overall health development agenda and has provided for outside the state revenue fund under the appropriate medium-term expenditure framework for 2026, 2027 to 2028 and 2029 of the financial years. Further in the news, baby allegedly left at the shebeen as parents drank. Mother has been arrested. Police have arrested a 34-year-old woman on suspicion of leaving her 4-month-old baby alone for hours at the shebeen in Marintown, while she and the baby's father were allegedly drinking, police said in the weekend crime report. The baby's father had not been arrested as of the report's release. Police were contacted to confirm whether the father faced possible arrest and why only the mother had been taken into custody, but no response had been received from the time of going to print. Police said the alleged incident took place between Thursday and Friday at a shebeen where the parents reportedly began arguing after drinking and left the child behind for hours without food or care. A member of the public found the baby and took him to gender-based violence protection officers on Friday, police said. The couple have 2 kids already, both of whom have been placed in a shelter for their safety while the investigation continues, police has stated. Now stay with us for more community news after this ad break.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises, from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative Sport Tourism.
Welcome back. Now let's dive into community talk. Disappointed in Kavango East Region, members of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on ICT have expressed disappointment after regional leadership in Kavango East Region failed to attend the regional consultation in Rundu this morning. Committee member Christine Handanga said MPs were in the region to assess whether the budget they approved is benefiting the communities, adding that regional representatives were needed to answer questions on issues including network coverage and internet connectivity in Rundu.
Before the members of parliament coming down to the region, as a person that was given by the mandate of this the Republic of Namibia to speak on their behalf, I want to say I am very much disappointed together with our committee. We are not here in the boardroom to look at the beautiful chairs, but we are here to ensure that the budget that we did pass, whether it's working for our community or not, We are here in the room to engage the empty hall. We are here in the room to engage the stakeholders that are not here in the hall. We are here to ensure that we engage the technocrats that are spearheading the budget that we approved, which is supposed to be the CRO or the person who's second to the CRO. We cannot only engage the directors of education. We cannot only engage the staff of ICT. We're supposed to have a representative of the regional council here in the hall. Because we are going to ask questions, how is the network here in Rundu? How is the internet here in the Rundu? How do we want the stakeholders of MTC and tech and telecom to improve, to ensure that no one who should not feel left out of the ICT, of the networks and the internet. However, with the power invested to me of the Namibian people, I am not limited on what to say or what to say. So we are very much disappointed. I would prefer that we see the hall until when it's full. That's the time we are going to engage, because we cannot engage the empty hall. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and the Director. Unfortunately, I have the same concern as all of my colleagues have raised. We, as the Members of Parliament and the Standing Committee of ICT, have come here to do serious work. If we look at the statistics in terms of 4G coverage for Kavango West, it's 2%. So it's a very, very serious concern for us as Members of Parliament. We therefore say that this meeting should not propose, Mr. Chairperson, until all of the critical stakeholders are in this House. The work of Parliament is serious work, and it must be understood even by the regional councillors and all of the political leaders in this regional area that this work of Parliament is serious, because it directly affects the issues of our people.
Still in community talk, Ministry prepares 508 tractors for 2026-2027 ploughing season. The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Land Reform has begun preparation for Namibia's 2026-2027 rain-fed cropping season, which is scheduled to run from 1st October 2026 to 31st March 2027. A total of 508 tractors have been identified for servicing and repairs, including 385 requiring minor servicing and 112 needing major repairs. The ministry said the work would be carried out at agricultural development centers across the country, while tractors requiring major repairs would be taken to the agricultural technology centers in Ongwadiva and Rundu.
First one is actually the repairs and the servicing of the tractors. We have 508 tractors countrywide that are distributed in different regions. And for sure, out of that, we have 385 tractors which are immediately available for services and repairs, which is just having minor repairs, and they are definitely 100% going to be ready for the season. And we have also 112 tractors that need major repairs. So the repairs will be done by our own local people who are qualified diesel mechanics, the employee of this ministry, which we are going to use. These employees are currently working at agricultural technology centers, which are currently two. One is situated in Burundi, and the other one is in Ongwediva. And of course, the funds that's going to be involved in this servicing of these tractors is roughly around 8 million. 8 million more dedicated to the purchasing of servicing parts and also those major repairs that I have just mentioned, including the necessary fuels and traveling for the staff members that are going to be involved in the process. We are going to roll it out countrywide to all the 14 regions because we are going to do it on site. And on site, we are not having time to waste. And already the first team of these qualified mechanics on Monday, on the 17th of August 2026, they will be in Otapi Agricultural Development Center repairing these tractors. And we envisage this process to be completed by the 31st of August 2026.
Stay with us for the latest economic news right after the break.
This week's decisions, today's debates, tomorrow's consequences. The agenda puts the spotlight on Namibia's most pressing issues and the people driving them. From headline makers to groundbreakers, we bring you the voices and perspectives at the center of the national conversation. One story, one interview, the depth you won't find anywhere else. That is The Agenda. Catch The Agenda on 102.com and on ntv.my.na.
Welcome back, and now some economic news. Standard Bank loans up to 17%. Standard Bank Namibia customer loan bank grew by 17.4% to 29 billion in the next 6 months to June, outpacing the broader private sector credit market as the bank continued to expand, leading despite slower economic growth. Private sector credit extension grew by 4.5% over the same period, meaning Standard Bank's customers leading expanded almost 4 times faster than the overall market. The performance was driven by strong growth in corporate leading, vehicle and asset finance, and a return to growth in home loans. Corporate leading grew by 15.5%, while vehicle and asset finance increased by 19.5%. Home loans increased by 1%, marking the first return to positive growth in the bank's home lending business since 2022. The overall loan book includes 2 billion facility extended to the Ministry of Finance to support Namibia's Eurobond redemption program late last year. Excluding that facility, underlying customer loan growth was 9.3%, still more than double private sector credit growth. Now let's dive into economic indicators. In today's exchange rate, 21.89 Namibian dollars goes to 1 British pound. 18.72 Namibian dollar goes to 1 euro. 16.18 Namibian dollars goes against 1 US dollar, and 2.40 Namibian dollars against 1 Chinese yuan. In our commodities, gold has risen with 1.08%, which leads to 4,417.63 ounce in US. Brent crude oil has gone down to 0.11%, that leading to 90.45 BP US. Now stay with us for international news right after this break. In our international news, Zambia incumbent takes early election lead as opposition alleged armed raid. Zambia's incumbent president Hakainde Hichilema has taken an early lead in the country's general election, putting him on the course for a possible outright first-round victory. As the vote is overshadowed by opposition claims that armed personnel raided his main rival's home. Voting began after polls closed on Thursday, and with more than half of the country's constituents counted on Sunday. Hichilema had won nearly 59% of the vote, according to the Electoral Commission. In his nearest challenger, Brian Mudubile of the opposition National Reconciliation Party for Unity and Prosperity, NRPUP, trailed with about a third percentage. That was your international news. Now on to the weather. In tomorrow's forecast, Katima Mulilo being 10 degrees Celsius minimum and 30 degrees Celsius maximum. Hobabas being 10 degrees minimum and 27 degrees maximum. Henties Bay being 15 degrees minimum and 29 degrees Celsius. Ludrit 15 degrees Celsius minimum and 27 degrees maximum Celsius. Now we go to Arijoja for some sports news.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with soccer news first from the Women's Africa Cup of Nations tournament. The final was hosted in Morocco. The tournament favourites and the defending champions Nigeria did not play in the final, and the final was won by Cameroon. They cruised to a 3-0 win. That was over tournament debutants, and that was Malawi, and that was to claim their first ever African Cup of Nations title for Cameroon. Then more soccer news is from the Community Shield final that was played in Cardiff. Community Shield final is normally between the winners of the English Premier League of the previous season, that is Arsenal against Manchester City, that won the FA Cup. And in the game, it was Arsenal that beat Manchester City, convincing by 3-0. It was the 18th time that Arsenal won the Community Shield. Not good news for Manchester City. They've lost their coach, that is Pep Guardiola. He's not the coach anymore and replaced by Enzo Maresca, so not a good start for Maresca. And also the news broke that Manchester City also lost one of their best players, that is Rodri. He is from Spain and was also influential in Spain's win in the World Cup in the USA and was also player of the tournament. And it is Rodri that now signed for Barcelona for €65 million. Moving on to cricket news, and it is Bangladesh that beat Australia. That is men's test cricket, and it is Bangladesh beating them by 9 wickets, and the game was played in Australia. It's the first ever win for Bangladesh against Australia in Australia, and it's the biggest win in the 26 years of test history for Bangladesh. Moving on to rugby news, and the All Blacks are still touring South Africa. The first test will be played this coming weekend in Johannesburg, the All Blacks against the Springboks. The third tour match, it was the All Blacks that beat the Bulls quite comfortably in Pretoria by 50 points to 19. And there's still injury challenges for the Springboks on two important players, that is Oxen Che and also Sia Kolisi, and not yet confirmed if they will be fit to play on Saturday. Also closing off today's international sports news, it is golf news from the St. Jude Championship. That's part of the FedEx Championship on the PGA. The winner of the tournament is world number 1, Scotty Scheffler. Convincing win. He was 17 under par, his winning score. And it was Siwoo Kim of Korea on 9 under par, 8 shots back in second position. Also to Scotty Scheffler, that's now the third youngest player ever to reach 21 PGA Tour wins. He's only behind Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus on that list. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day. We'll talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
And with that, we've come to an end of our broadcast. However, if you have missed today's episode, don't worry. We got you. You can still catch us on DSTV 285, GoTV 25, and 1UP2.